Drexler, our guest, is the CEO of J.Crew. Rumor has it he was a shy only child. Shy boy, mama's secretary, mother died early, father, a garment salesperson. What did you learn from growing up in the Bronx about making it in retail today? You know how we imagine life, we're little. We're living in a shoe or something. I was living in a closet too. But you imagine a life greater. You imagine where you're going. Did you do that?
Yeah, well, I think in all due respect to the Bronx, we all grew up then wanting to get out. And we grew up in our own little world. We lived on the streets. But being in the Bronx is kind of a badge of honor today.
Yes.
I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world to grow up, as a lot of kids grow up today, in a much more, let's say, entitled environment. But I was very fortunate. I went to good public schools, but always wanted to get out and always wanted nicer things. Yeah.
I get that. A few years ago, I interviewed Larry King. And he still meets with his buddies. They still have chopped liver gefilte fish. I'm not sure. The boys he knew growing up, they still get together, and it grounds him. You too? Yeah,
we have four of us: Joey Gagg, a retired cop; Angie Ramone, a liquor salesman; and Judge Borkin, Steve Borkin, who's a traffic judge in the Bronx now, retired. We get together every 3 or 4 months, and it's grounded. And you never have friends like your original friends.
Right.
And but there's something about that. I call them borough boys. It's Brooklyn and the Bronx which qualify in my mind. People who lived in Manhattan then were considered rich, but there's something there. There's that connection.
And did your dad have a Cadillac?
No, I always wish he did. But
so
his boss had a Cadillac. So the few times on weekends he brought it home, he thought he had a Cadillac. I kind of fantasized I had a Cadillac.
Said, I don't know, we had a Pontiac at our house.
Well, that was the middle level of the GM
Pretty
thing.
much. You have a Buick or something?
We had a 2-door Buick Special.
So back to the buddies, the buddies you hang with.
Right.
What do you learn from them about what you do? Because I know you have a great retail eye, and they're a customer. They're your buddies, but they're a customer. So what do they teach you about where to take J.Crew, what people want, how they feel about Occupy Wall Street, all of that?
Well, my old buddies, not really. If you saw how they dressed, you wouldn't listen too much to them. They're wonderful guys. But I think if you're in my business, in the retail business, in our business, you never stop looking for cues and signals, ever.
Right.
And wherever you are in the world, you kind of see something that inspires you to think more about that. For example, in the last few weeks, I've seen more people in the streets of New York and everywhere else wearing fatigue-like jackets. And you start to think, we sell fatigue jackets, and you start to say, gee, this is bigger than I think it might be. And then, you know how things happen in 2s or 3s?
Sure.
But it's everyone who teaches me. I listen to every customer. Sometimes you listen, sometimes you don't. But, you know, it's a business of constantly needing to renew yourself and moving forward and figure out, as they say in Canada, where the puck's going. Or else you don't get there first and you lose your edge, and it happens.
Yes, Wayne Gretzky always knew. He's always said, well, he doesn't say
That's
it because
quote,
he's a
right?
humble man.
I think it's his quote.
It sure is his quote,
Right.
and because everybody who ever played hockey with him said the genius of Gretzky was he could look ahead. He knew where it was going, and he got there before the puck got there.
Well, Steve Jobs at Apple, he knew where it was going, and he created where it was going in a sense. Because no focus group will ever tell you where things are going. They'll tell you what was.
Sure. And you watched Steve Jobs build that Apple brand.
It was incredible.
And that Apple store, you walk down a mall, you see an Apple store, you know it's an Apple store. You walk down the mall, you see J.Crew, you know it's J.Crew. Why?
Well, it's this. It's not easy to describe, but it all emanates from the vision that we have in business, and it's like a personality. You know, you are who you are. And if you're consistent, you're original, you're creative, and you fill a need in the marketplace, it's not being filled the right way. And if it's aesthetic and kind of happy and makes you feel good, then you probably have something that's right.
Sure. And you also are a man of guts, where you say, they want bridal? We'll do bridal. And how did you determine that?
Well, the bridal is because someone in our distribution center in Lynchburg said that People were always waiting for certain dresses to come in that we never had enough of to fill their bridal party needs. I had no idea. I never knew about the bridal business. So we said, well, let's have a J.Crew wedding. And we did it. Now, part of what happens with creative thinking is sometimes you take on too much. And you never want to take on too much, but you have to focus obsessively. So sometimes we're guilty of doing it a little too much. Bridal worked out very well, and we sell tons and tons of bridesmaids' dresses because they're beautiful and affordable.
Sure. Michelle Obama, First Lady of the United States. This must have been a good moment for you. I don't know where you were, but when she says to Oprah, she likes J.Crew, and Oprah bought the stock.
Yeah. Well, it was, look, to get a validation, there was a few issues there, aside from her being one of the most famous and well-respected women in the world. She was also above a certain age. J.Crew was remembered at that point as, oh, my kids love J.Crew. In the old days, it was a great college resource. So when she did that, I think the most important thing was a validation from a woman over 40 years old who loved our clothes and appreciated the quality. I also think it was probably a very good decision because we are affordable and we're not overly expensive.
Which was a good message to America.
Yeah, well, I'm partial, but I thought it was.
No.
So,
well, no, of course it was, because look at the times. You've got subprime meltdown and economy's tanking, and suddenly somebody in a very high place who could afford to buy Armani is saying, I dress my kids in J.Crew, even perhaps the president. Didn't he wear J.Crew to the inauguration or not?
No, I think he's a Hart Schaffner Marx guy.
Okay.
So, whatever,
so,
I think.
So you walk down the street in New York and you look at Brooks Brothers. And what do you take from Brooks Brothers, from the model that you use in your stores? Or do you?
I don't.
Okay. So it's your vision.
Well, it's a team vision, and you take, for me, you always go to who does something better or well, even in asking opinions. None of us are the best at what we do ever, and if you think that, you're in trouble. But I have a habit, it's a good one, of traveling the world, of traveling New York, and seeing what looks right, and seeing who's smart and who's wise, and calling people I know if they know more about a subject than I know. So we all take. It's just how we take it. And we take it with subtleties or not. You know, khaki jackets, we sell tons of them. We're not taking anything, it just reinforces an idea when you see something. Or kale today. I don't understand why kale is so popular.
Kale, the vegetable?
Everyone's talking about kale. I don't know if that's true in Canada. The vegetable.
Yes.
Within the last 3 months, kale is more famous than anything. I don't get it.
It lengthens our life.
That's what they say. It's a fashion thing. Everything's a fashion thing.
We bought it, but I bet you look at kale and say, you know, I kind of like that green.
Actually, I like the way it looks, the green, but I don't like the way it tastes. But I'm in the minority, I guess. But it's astounding how fashion and trends take over, and all of a sudden it is what it is. But kale is the current hot trend.
Oh no, we bought the beer on that. It's true. As an international arbiter of style, you look at the J.Crew template and you say, you know, maybe we should have J.Crew perfume, or maybe J.Crew nail polish, or maybe not. I know you have shoes, good Italian shoes. And what's the litmus test for that?
Well,
where you expand, where you go?
Well, you know, if someone can do it better than us, like nail polish, Face from Stockholm, they're experts at it. We go to Face and we say, do some colors or special stuff for us. Perfume, there's enough perfume in the world. We have just so much time and people to do what they do well. And I have this point of view about, if we can't do it well, let someone else do it.
Okay.
Best companies in the world are best at what they do.
So Hermes, Estee Lauder, let them do perfume.
Let them do it, and no one's better than they are. I mean, we could probably do it, but you don't need another perfume maker. You need another person selling great women's Italian shoes that don't require a mortgage. You need someone like Crockett & Jones or Alden Shoes in our stores because they're not distributed that well around the world. You need the best cashmere. You need great wash shirts. So we go into a business, and anyone who does a business, I think, needs to go into a business where there's a consumer need that's not being fulfilled.
And what about celebrity spokespeople? We saw what happened with Ellen and J.C. Penney, or as my father used to call it, J.C. Penney. Probably the best thing that happened to Penny's, I'm thinking in retrospect, don't know, but you know, the mothers, some of the funny mothers in America said, I won't go to a store endorsed by a gay woman. What about celebrity spokesperson for a J.Crew, a Lady Gaga? Like, who are you? Would you do it?
Well, I'm against paying all that money for a celebrity who usually doesn't even wear one's, drives one's product.
Right.
Wears one's clothes. To me, it's very transparent.
Sure. It's like J.Lo and the Fiat.
They get a lot of money, and it's so transparent, so maybe I'm naive about that. It might bring attention, but unless the celebrity fits in with the vision of the brand, I think it's fine. We won't pay a lot of money to a celebrity. We actually, at Gap, we created, I don't want to say created, we had celebrities free of charge in our black and white campaign because they wanted to be with us and we wanted to be, we didn't pay them a penny. And then at Madewell, we had one celebrity, but she wasn't really a celebrity. She wasn't that well known. And we have a few other people coming along, but to me, it's transparent.
And what about social conscience? You see, I was reading this morning, DKNY says, if you buy a T-shirt from DKNY, we'll give 10% to a charity. Important today, not important today?
Well, here's what I think, and this is personal, very personal.
Right.
I think you do what you do if no one's watching, okay? And, you know, it's kind of like when I walk my dog. You pick up the scoop, the scooper.
Yeah.
If someone's watching, I find people that advertise the charity and go out of their way, I always wonder about it. You know, 1 cent of this can goes to the Olympics or whatever. We all should be good citizens while people are watching and not watching. I think that you live the values of a company just as you would live the values in your personal life. So we do things. You know, we collaborate, we give. We're a private company. We don't have a foundation. Because foundations perhaps should be at the pleasure of the people that have the wealth, not just companies per se. But I think it's okay that Donna does that.
And you have a personal foundation and give back, and you're philanthropic, and...
I do, but I don't talk about it.
Did you really buy Andy Warhol's house?
Well, yes.
Rufus Wainwright spent some time there in Montauk.
I think everyone seems to have spent time in that
I guess so.
house.
I read
it's
that.
Amazing.
I thought,
yeah, it's a very unique property.
So I walk into the J.Crew, the music. On the floor, not on the floor, as you know, Granny's with you, and you're in the store, and she does not want to hear hip-hop. The staff's got it ratcheted up. Granny wants to leave the store, but she has the money in the pocket to buy you the coat. What's the middle?
Well, if you're saying, and I don't know, if as a consumer, if you're saying you don't like the music, I'd look into that. We have people in charge of music. I don't spend a lot of time unless I don't like it. But it sounds like you have an issue with the music being too loud or not, because if you do, we'll look into it.
We'll look into it.
Absolutely.
Okay, but it's all part of the mix. It's the energy. You're in the store and you want to feel like you want to stay there.
Everything has to be seamless. And that's what we work towards every day, from beginning to the end. And sometimes we fail more than I'd like, but you still have to work at it.
So J.Crew, why here, why now?
Well, we decided that, you know, it's a good question. We're kind of late to the party internationally, but we're in no hurry. And it takes so much time to build a good business that you can do it because you're counting the money, or you can do it because you love what you do, or for both. I've been there 9 years now, it seems like a minute, and we decided in the last year or two that we are ready because we've fixed what we need to do. We have quality product, we have a talented team, and now we're ready to share it more with the world. Huge amount of requests for J.Crew all over the world, and we're going slowly.
Okay, and still have a catalog, of course, and you've come a long way from Gilchrist's department store. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Welcome to Vancouver.
Thank you for having me.